Please remain standing for the posting of our colors and the national anthem. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the most beautiful State House in the Union. I'm very proud of this place. Statehood Day is a very, very special day, and we're celebrating the 199th birthday of our state. And we're also going to embark on our 200-year bicentennial celebration in the coming year. And so, boys and girls, this is a very special day for you to see the kickoff of the bicentennial year. On the dais with me is the Governor and the First Lady, Lieutenant Governor, Chief Justice, Jim and Alan with the Constitutions there from the archives, Jim Cordian and Alan January. And I'm sure there are legislators sprinkled around along with justices, and please make sure that you make yourself known if you see someone there. We have participants, and you saw the Military Department of Indiana Ceremonial Unit Color Guard. We have the Indiana 1812 Color Guard. And by the way, all the descendants of soldiers who fought in the war comprise that group. We were up here. And it's just great to have so many friends and family and moms and dads here, because it is your State House, and I'm so pleased that you're here. I like to kind of break protocol sometimes, and protocol is kind of a quiet place sometimes. But I want to make sure that everybody works in this building knows that the kids are here, because this is for you. This ceremony is for you. And I saw the governor yesterday, and he made it very clear this is for our kids today. And so when I say the name of your school, I want you to cheer so everybody knows you're here, okay? Number 1, St. John Lutheran from Indianapolis. Minitani from Lafayette. Clinton Central from Michigantown. Kingsway Christian from Avon. Well, that's all the spirit. Jeremiah Gray from Haston Hebrew from Indianapolis. Our Lady of Grace from Noblesville. New Britain from Fishers. And St. Charles from Bloomington. Like I said, we're here today to celebrate our birthday, 199 years, and we started this back in 1998, so this is the 17th year that we're doing this, because I wanted to make sure that everybody knew what our Constitution was about, and I want to make sure everybody know that this is a very special place, and this is your place, and that is why we're here. We also have Jim Corridon and Alan January from the archives, and they have the Constitution that they're going to start walking around, and I've got mics if you'd like to speak to them about the Constitution. Jim and Alan.
Hello, boys and girls. Dr. January and I are both carrying the original constitutions of the state of Indiana. This small one in my hand is the original Constitution that was written in the summer of 1816. It's Indiana's first Constitution. If you were to travel back in time to 1816 and visit Corridon that June, you would have found 43 men debating the merits of various constitutions from across the United States. When the delegates met on June 10th, the first thing they dealt with was whether or not Indiana should become a state. And you would think, I suspect, that the vote was unanimous and that they voted to make Indiana a state. But in actuality, 8 of those delegates voted against statehood in this state. But over the next 20 days, they did write this Constitution, this document, in the old state capitol building. Macy, you want to show, and we have a picture. You want to walk around and show the picture of the Capitol? This is the old state capitol building in Corridon. So just walk around. The 1816 Indiana Constitution embraced many of the concepts we have in place today, including 3 branches of government, all of which you'll hear from today. And maybe most important was the notion that the state would be responsible for education. This Constitution in my hand was the first in the nation to call for a general system of education, quote, ascending in regular grades from township schools to a state university where tuition shall be free and equally open to all. So we're the first state in the country to have free and open education for all students. Included in this clause was a section that said that unfortunately they'd have to wait until times permitted for us to be able to fund free college, and we still haven't gotten it. But nonetheless, we do have a great system of education here in the state. The summer of 1816 was very cold, and in fact, it was known as the year without a summer. Corridon was a small town, and only half of the delegates could stay there. The other half stayed near New Albany. Before and after every daily meeting, many of the delegates would gather outside under the shade of a giant elm tree, which became known as the Constitutional Elm. In 1925, the elm tree died, but thanks to the efforts of the Indiana Bar Foundation and Senator Merritt, who joins us today, some of the tree's wood was used to make a display case that houses the state's constitutions in the rotunda just next to us. And later on, we'll put the constitutions in that display case. Today, we have a piece of the tree with us, and you're welcome to look at. That's actually a part of the constitutional elm. At the immediate conclusion of this ceremony, the constitutions will be put on public display in the rotunda and remain there until the legislature concludes its work this spring. You're all invited to watch as we put the constitutions in and secure that case. Make sure that constitution is secure. So with that, let me introduce Alan January, who will now talk about the current constitution. Alan?
Thank you, Jim. By 1850, Hoosiers were unhappy with their Constitution. The broad powers given to the General Assembly, or legislature, had led in 1836 to a costly network of canals that plunged the state into debt and ultimately bankruptcy. Legislative sessions were cluttered with special legislation that took up more and more of the General Assembly's time each year. Voters authorized a new constitutional convention in 1850. It met in Indianapolis. This time they worked for over 4 months. And I am holding the new 1851 Constitution, which voters ratified on August 4, 1851. Physically, the 1851 Constitution looks different. It is handwritten on parchment rather than paper. Content-wise, however, it relied heavily on the 1816 Constitution. There are still 3 branches of government: executive, judicial, and legislative. But this time, the Constitution includes a long list of laws the General Assembly could no longer act upon. The state was now prohibited from going into debt. More public offices were made elective. Voting rights were extended to non-citizens, but not to women or African Americans. The 1851 Constitution again authorized a general system of education without charge and equally open to all. It became the state's duty for the first time to provide for the education of the deaf and blind, for the treatment of the mentally ill, and for the care by counties of the aged and the poor. Although it's been frequently amended, the 1851 Constitution is still the foundation of Indiana's government today as we celebrate the 199th birthday of the state of Indiana. Let's all hear a happy birthday.
Just to put that in a little context, in 1816 they had no air conditioning. So they had to leave the state house at the time, which was a territorial house, and go outside and settle under a tree, which was called the Constitutional Elm, and write the document. So there was no air conditioning, and something that our founding fathers, our founding people were very dedicated to. And for you kids, have we seen the movie National Treasure? Yeah, well, just think about, this is our state treasure. And just like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. Right now, it's always a privilege to introduce the governor. And he and I have known each other for a long, long time, and he is one of my favorite people in the world. And he has been looking forward to this day since last December 11th. And everybody knows Mike Pence, but it's a privilege and a pleasure to introduce to you Governor Mike Pence.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. As governor of all the people of Indiana, it is my pleasure to welcome you to our state capitol to celebrate Indiana Statehood Day. It was 1816 on this day when Indiana became the 19th state in the Union, and we are 199 years young today. This State House and loves our history and loves Statehood Day more than Senator Jim Merritt, I don't think you could ever find them. Today is a day that belongs to all of us, but would you join me in thanking Senator Jim Merritt for loving our history and loving our State House? Thank you, Jim. What a great day. Welcome to not only our 199th birthday as a state, but also this is day one of the countdown to our bicentennial all across the state of Indiana. December 11th, 1816, we became a state. Before that, Indiana was just a territory. To become a state, a territory needed at least 60,000 people living in it. And once that happened in Indiana, President James Madison signed an act of Congress to make us the 19th state, or as we like to be known, the 19th star. We're now entering our last year of Indiana's second century. As I mentioned, that means our next Statehood Day, 1 year from now, will be our 200th birthday. And before this program is over, you'll hear about all the exciting work that the men and women on our Bicentennial Commission have done to celebrate Indiana's 200th anniversary. Join me in thanking former Lieutenant Governor Becky Skillman and former Congressman Lee Hamilton and all the members of our Bicentennial Commission who are here today and will be celebrating our 200th birthday. It's a really big milestone, isn't it? 199 years. A lot has happened in those 199 years. But it's really a story about the people of Indiana. One of those people is Abraham Lincoln. He came to Indiana when he was 7 years old. In fact, we just named a bridge on the Ohio River right across from Jeffersonville, Indiana, the Abraham Lincoln Bridge, because he was born in Kentucky, but he moved to Indiana just as soon as he heard about it. 7 years old, they came across the river, and you can actually visit where Abraham Lincoln grew up. He said of Indiana back in the day, he said it was a very different place than it is today, I guess. He called Indiana, quote, a wild region with many bears and wild animals in the woods. Well, we don't have as many bears, although people in northwest Indiana will tell you there's been a Michigan bear visiting us, and maybe he heard that we're celebrating our bicentennial, and he wanted to remember what President Lincoln said. There's other great people in the history of our state. One of my heroes is a business pioneer named Madam C.J. Walker. About 2 years after Abraham Lincoln left this earth, Madam C.J. Walker was born to parents who were former slaves. She moved to the state of Indiana and built one of the most successful businesses of her time. She was not only a prominent African-American leader and entrepreneur, but she was the first self-made woman millionaire in American history, and she's part of Indiana's great story of success. And Madam C.J. Walker said something that I think all the fourth graders here ought to hear. She said once, when asked about all of her great achievements, she said, quote, don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come, get up and make them. Do you like that? You can applaud that if you want. I think that's a great line. Don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come, get up and make them. That's the Hoosier spirit. That's what's been happening in this state for 199 years, and we're going to celebrate that. It's wonderful advice. You know, I could go on and on about Hoosier heroes, but we got a lot more ground to cover today. But my question to all of you as we start this celebration is, as we think of Abraham Lincoln, as we think of Madam C.J. Walker, as we think of all the men and women who have peopled this state for 199 years and made it simply the greatest state in the greatest nation on earth, what are you going to do in the time that you're given? You know, remember, you don't need to be rich or famous. You don't even need to be somebody that's going to end up in the history books to make a positive difference in people's lives. It's here in the state of Indiana, people have been living out their dreams, caring for their neighbors, building great families, building great businesses, building great legacies. And so my challenge to each and every one of you on this 199th birthday of the state of Indiana, as we begin the last year of the second century, is what are you going to do in your life to make the third century of Indiana even greater still? Welcome to your State House, and happy birthday, Indiana. It's wonderful to have you all here.
Well, you've been studying Indiana government. You know that we have three branches of Indiana government. We have the administrative wing, and you've heard from Governor Pence. I'm from the legislative wing. I'm in the Indiana State Senate. And we have the judicial wing of state government. And we are led by an outstanding person by the name of Loretta Rush. She is our Chief Justice, and she'd like to say a few words. Chief Justice Loretta Rush.
Hello, good morning. Mentani Elementary. I have Camille's going to come up as a junior judge with me today. Can you join me? Well, I represent the judicial branch of government. How many of you were up to the Supreme Court? Raise your hand. Did you get up there to see it? All right. We're going to have some openings in the future. Who would like me to save a seat for them? So you can join me up there. All right. We'll get that done. Well, this is the year of children, and so they asked me to bring some pictures. I was a juvenile court judge, and Indiana was the second state in the nation to have a court for children. Children that have been harmed, making sure children are safe, children that get in trouble, making sure that they get themselves out of trouble. So for 15 years, I have had cases involving tens of thousands of children. So a lot of them would give me their pictures. So on the bench in the courtroom, I had hundreds of pictures of children. So when I got appointed to the Supreme Court, I was going to miss those pictures. So in my chambers, and please stop by if you're on the third floor, I put together a collage. And Camille's going to help me show you. These are all pictures of children that came to court. And it's a constant reminder for my branch of government, the judiciary, how important the courts are to you. That your safety, that your welfare is so important. We have about 1.3 million cases filed in Indiana last year, and many cases involve children. So we care about you, we care about your education. And before I'm done, judges like to give oaths. They like to have you raise your right hand and put you under oath. So I'm going to have you all raise your right hand, and that would be the hand going that way. All right? All right, and I want you to repeat after me. I promise Governor Pence that I will graduate from high school. Thank you.
You know, through the years, we have had an essay contest, and for the folks that have been here before, you remember that we talk about what Indiana means to me. And this year, because of the bicentennial, we want to know what you're going to do for the bicentennial. It's the best year of Indiana's history, after 1816, of course. And so we had a contest like we always do. And the individual who won that contest is Jenna Grubb from New Britain Elementary. She is going to come to the microphone and read her essay. This is the best part of the thing, you know.
Celebrating 200 by Jenna Grubb. That blue and yellow in the stands, the loud rumble of the fans. Where are all those lucky faces? In Indiana, at lots of places. To fire it up, here comes the blue jerseys gripping their hands on the seams of the brown ball. Touchdown, the Colts win. Then you hear thundering footsteps as loud as hail bumping off the roof. In addition to that, you get to fly over country with pyramids and horses. But of course you land back in the Children's Museum. Thirdly, you travel back to 1836, where the pioneers used to live. Then you go up, up, up. Next, you step inside a barn at Conner Prairie, where the animals are. Fourth of all, you go to a place with water and trees. Here, you sleep in a cabin when the night ends. The sunshine slides down and all the rays follow. You go to sleep as silent as one little cricket chirping in a whole big farm. McCormick's Creek is where you are. When you wake up, you enter a grassy field full of golden flakes. You see little red wings fluttering above you in the blue sky. A farmland stretches out across you in the cold yet cozy morning weather. Before the day ends, you get to scream as loud as a hyena howling in the moonlight. My favorite, you say, and you write it again. Fun until the day ends, but you will always remember your trip to Holiday World. When the day ends, you snuggle up in bed. Wow, what a fun day you had. In Indiana, the state we love and cherish. Celebrate your great little state. This is how I would celebrate mine.
Jenna will receive. So if any of you have brothers and sisters that are coming after you, Jenna received a governor's certificate, a flag flown over the building, and a 529 scholarship from the treasurer. It's a $200 savings account. So when you have brothers or sisters, they're coming after you, make sure they understand that there's gold at the end of the rainbow, okay? All right.
Governor proceeds to the microphone.
Great. Well, I have two more pieces of business before we get on with the day. Number one is, as governor of the state of Indiana, from time to time, I issue proclamations to all the people of Indiana so that they can know when a special day or a special occasion occurs. And it was just for today, December 11, 2015, that I signed a proclamation for all the people of Indiana. To all whom these presents may come, greetings. Between June 10th and June 29th, 1816, the First Indiana Constitutional Convention met at the territorial capital in Corydon. Whereas the First General Assembly convened in Corydon, which became the first state capital on Monday, November 4, 1816, to satisfy the requirements of the United States government for admission to the Union. And whereas on Friday, December 11th, 2015, we will mark the 199th anniversary of the day President James Madison signed the act admitting Indiana as the 19th state in the Union. History of the state means that we value all of our people and all of their accomplishments. Now, therefore, I, Michael R. Pence, by virtue of the authority vested in me as governor of the great state of Indiana, do hereby proclaim December 11, 2015, Indiana Statehood Day, to be celebrated by all of the people of Indiana. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Now, lastly, as I mentioned them before, the Indiana Bicentennial Commission is with us today. And today, while it is that we mark our 199th birthday, and I'm incredibly excited about that, and I hope I get a piece of cake. The other thing about today is that we are starting to celebrate the bicentennial officially today. And it's my duty just to say thank you for just a moment. Seated to my left and to your right are members of the Indiana Bicentennial Commission who've been working for the last 4 years to prepare for today. And I can't wait for you to learn all the exciting things that are happening. I'm also proud of the fact that the First Lady of Indiana is the official ambassador to the bicentennial. But as I mentioned before, the commission is chaired by two of our most distinguished citizens, the former Lieutenant Governor of the state of Indiana, Becky Skillman, and someone who was recently honored by the President of the United States with the highest civilian medal that is presented to anyone, former Congressman Lee Hamilton. Join me in thanking our two co-chairs of the Bicentennial Commission once again. But the list goes on of extraordinary men and women who have dedicated the last 4 years to this celebration. Many of the commission members are with us today. Judge Sarah Evans Barker, Representative Charlie Brown, Howard Cohen, Stephen Ferguson, Tony George, P.E. McAllister, Jim Madison, Mickey Maurer, Mary McConnell, Jim McCormick, Senator Merritt, Ellen Rosenthal, former Chief Justice Randall Shepard, and Brenda Gerber Vincent. Give them all a big round of applause for their work on the Bicentennial Commission. Through the Commission's work with all of the members and the First Lady, there's now more than, listen to this number, there are more than 850 bicentennial legacy projects endorsed so far, spanning in every county of Indiana. Each one of these projects will focus on the unique history in our communities, on nature conservation, and most especially on all of you, on youth and education in the state of Indiana. Because really, as we celebrate the bicentennial, I mean, I love history, so you can tell today how excited I am on a day like today, because I love to look back. But really, our bicentennial is more about the future. It's more about really all of you. This past June, the Indiana Bicentennial Commission created a special resolution that spoke about all of you, specifically focusing our bicentennial celebration on the children of Indiana. And if you like the fact that the bicentennial year is going to be dedicated to kids in Indiana, you can give them a round of applause and say, thanks, kids. The resolution the Commission adopted, which I heartily endorse, encourages all of us, kids and adults alike, to recognize that the real legacy of our bicentennial is Indiana's children. First Lady and I joined the Commission in calling on all Hoosiers to work over the course of this year to think of new ways that we can improve the lives of our children, improve their well-being, from education to opportunities for all of our kids. We can support this resolution during our bicentennial year by developing specific, practical, and inspiring initiatives that will impact our children. And I challenge all of you gathered around the perimeter and all of you up in the grandstands who are with us here today. Join us in making this coming bicentennial year a year that's all about our kids. It's about celebrating our future. It's about celebrating our kids with the confidence that as we focus on them, this generation of Hoosiers will ensure that our third century will be greater still than the first two. Thank you all very much, and thank you to the Commission for the focus on Indiana's kids.
Thank you, Governor. I knew the governor back in college, and he had coal black hair. Can you believe that? And it wasn't just in the last 3 years. That's one of the very, very special people in our lives is Karen Pence. She is our First Lady. And if you follow her on Twitter, she is everywhere. And she is dedicated to the betterment of our world. And just like the governor said, we're talking about the future today. She's also an ambassador for the Bicentennial Commission. And we do a lot of good work on that. And if anybody wants to follow the commission, it's at Indiana 2016, at Indiana 2016, because as the governor said, we're going to have over 1,000 projects, all sorts of interesting things. The Boone County folks have already knitted baby caps with the logo on it. So we just like the Super Bowl with scarves, we have baby caps that have been knitted as something that is coming from Boone County. So it's going to be a wild year, and I'm happy about that. Anyway, the First Lady has something to say, and I always enjoy listening to her. And she has spent a lot of time around Indiana, riding bikes and doing all sorts of things to really spread the word about the goodness of Indiana. I give you First Lady Karen Pence.
Thank you, Jim. It's a privilege to be here today. I've had so much fun with every single one of these fourth graders. We had a lot of fun this morning. But before I give you my remarks, I do want to say it has been an honor to serve with this Bicentennial Commission. The amount of hours and work that they have put in has been stunning to me, and lots of after hours, meetings, getting things ready. So I just have to tell you, I know how they feel today because I am so excited. We have looked forward to this day. We are so excited for this year. The Indiana Bicentennial is a celebration that should not be missed. Throughout 2016, all counties across the state will be celebrating Indiana's 200th year in their own special way. And we don't want you to miss the party. Everything from bicentennial theme festivals and cultural programs, educational activities, school curriculum in multiple subjects, and art exhibits. Something for everyone in 2016. The Indiana Bicentennial Torch Relay is one of the signature events of the Bicentennial. The Torch Relay will pass through all 92 counties. It's going to pass through your county and travel over 2,300 miles during the 5-week event in the fall of 2016. You guys have seen on the Olympics where they carry the torch. We're doing that here in Indiana. This is a unifying event connecting people, communities, and regions throughout the state. The Indiana Bicentennial Torch Relay is an opportunity, though, for us to reflect on the history, progress, and achievements of our state, while also passing the torch to our future generation. The Torch Relay is an initiative of the Indiana Office of Tourism Development. The torch route was charted by state representatives and local volunteers, and it's really interesting to see where it goes. Sometimes it goes over water, sometimes through farmland, lots of different places. It highlights locations of natural beauty, local interest, and historic significance to the state. It starts in our first state capital, which you all were talking about today, Corydon, and will end right here at the State House in Indianapolis. Why a torch relay? The torch is a significant symbol for our state. Take a look up here at our state flag. Look at that torch. It is the centerpiece of our state flag, and it represents liberty, enlightenment, and Indiana's far-reaching influence. We are thrilled to have this interactive element as part of our state's bicentennial celebration. But I want all of you to think about who would be the appropriate person to carry the torch. Well, you know what? We want to have as many people as possible carry the torch. Do you know that you don't even have to be someone who can walk to carry the torch? Subaru has donated the bicentennial car, which will have an attachment that holds the torch. We want you to go to our website, www.indiana2016.org, to represent people in your community to carry the torch. You can be a 99-year-old person who sits in the car and gets to take that torch 4 or 5 blocks. You can be an athlete, but you don't have to be an athlete. We don't want to center on just one segment of our population. We want everybody to be represented, but we need you all to nominate the people to carry the torch. Now it's exciting. There's somebody else, like Senator Merritt, who loves our state so much. She loves to go around the state talking about our state. But it's going to be kind of fun to hear from her because she's a very smart lady, and she's going to talk about the design and the construction of the torch. It is my pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Governor Sue Ellspermann.
Thank you, First Lady Karen Pence. What a wonderful thing you learned about our torch relay and how exciting that is for all of Indiana and for all of us to get to participate in it. Well, I get to talk to you about the torch because it's very important. We have something that's really going to work when we take it across all 92 counties. We're going to be showing you a video about how this torch works. But first, I want to introduce the people who designed this torch. They're very, very special, and they're here with us. They happen to be a whole team of Purdue engineers. So before they stand up, how many in here wants to be an engineer when you grow up so you can design something cool? Yeah, we like that, don't we? Okay, now we're going to recognize all those Purdue engineers that worked on the torch. Would you please stand up? Come on up. They took this idea of that torch and then they had to turn it into something that could do all those things that you heard First Lady Karen Pence talk about, traveling fast, traveling over different areas for all kinds of people, people who are strong, people who aren't so strong. So right now, we're going to show you a video of how that torch was designed.
16 is the Indiana Bicentennial Torch Relay. The relay will touch each of Indiana's 92 counties during a 2,300-mile journey. It'll connect Hoosiers near and far with their home during this year of celebration. Over 1,800 torchbearers will pass a flame from torch to torch, county to county, generation to generation. It'll be a very special torch. This unifying symbol of our state, representing liberty, enlightenment, and Indiana's far-reaching influence, has many recognizable characteristics on the outside. But it's the inside that truly distinguishes it. The interior houses components that are more technologically advanced than any torch before it, and has been designed by a multidisciplinary team from Purdue University's world-renowned engineering school. They've created an Indiana masterpiece that is the first of its kind, and in keeping with a proud tradition of our state, have done so with an innovative eye toward the future. The torch is equipped with a global positioning sensor and microprocessing unit that tracks its real-time movement from anywhere. It's powered by Indiana biofuel and a rechargeable lithium-ion battery pack, and it comes with safety features to ensure secure transport and the well-being of the torchbearer's carrier. The Indiana Bicentennial Torch Relay will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a singular moment in our state's history. The Torch Relay will celebrate Indiana's achievements, its influence and aspirations, while symbolically passing the torch to future generations of Hoosiers. As the Torch Relay celebrates Indiana at 200, the light of Indiana will shine brightly for centuries to come.
Yes. Yeah. So, now, how many of you want to be a Purdue engineer? Raise your hand. See, I knew that would do it. So I'm going to tell you just a few things about the torch and what makes it so special. You saw it's about 23 inches tall. We're going to peek at it here. 8 inches in diameter. It weighs about 5 pounds. It's actually going to use biofuel, E85 biofuel, made in Indiana. And it's going to be powered by a rechargeable lithium-ion battery pack. You're going to see many more details, but how cool it is. And if you could join me one more time thanking Purdue faculty, staff, and students for their great work.
Good call. Well done. Well done. Is that just cool or what? Okay, we're about finished with the ceremony. We every year we started this tradition many years ago, where the constitutions that Jim and Alan have will be placed in the display case over here, and they will be there for the length of the legislative session and maybe a little bit after it. And that display case is airproof, the glass is bulletproof, fiber optic light, it's well protected, it has constitutional elm wood that adorns the outside of it. It's a very special place, and I hope you watch them place the documents back in the display case. We also will have the youth torch in the rotunda if you want to take a look at it. And Purdue, that's in Purdue gold, isn't it? It's joke. Anyway, we have the bells of the bows who sang the national anthem earlier, and they're going to sing Back Home in Indiana. But before I recognize them, John Essex, too, led us in by the bagpipes, along with, is President Harrison still here? Where are you, President Harrison? There you are, President Harrison, Indiana's only president. Hopefully we will have another one soon. But President Harrison, thank you very much for being here. All right. The choir will sing Back Home in Indiana. That is one of my favorite parts of this ceremony. Wonderful from Plainfield. Thank you very much. Please stand for the retiring of our colors.
So after they take the colors out.
Please. Before, hang on one second. Excuse me. Before we have the retirement of colors, Governor Pence had a great suggestion. Let's sing Happy Birthday to Indiana, okay? We all know the words, right? All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. This is the solemn moment. We will have the retiring of our colors.
Precinct out. Retreat coast. Oh.
Right, ready? March. Now, I want everybody to go out and have a great 200th year of Indiana's history and future. Thank you very much. Good job. You guys always look fun. Let me get a picture.